Hey, well, isn't this great? We finally get to do some more work on Ella. This is so exciting. The engine guy called me right before I left on my trip, which was kind of a family reunion of sorts. Fun, but exhausting. I'm super tired. Got back at like, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning. Whatever time it was late, early. I'm way too old for that. But my past self, who orders the tickets, has no regard for my future self, who has to actually experience flying at that particular time. My past self seems to be only concerned about cost, not how my future self feels about it. So it's a problem. It really is. Okay, so I was saying my engine guy got a hold of me and he said, next week, just pull the engine out. As soon as you get it out, bring it to me. I'll get busy on it. I've got a little space and time. So I've tried different engine builders. They're all like 6 months out and all of this. And it's mainly because I like to try different people and kind of see what I like or whatever. But this guy, it's Matt with Matt's Engines. I hate to even say, if you live in my area, because then maybe you'll use them and then I'll have to wait again. But in this case, he just came through a really busy season and just had this, I don't know, fortuitous lull for me. So he said if I bring the engine to him, he will get right on the rebuilding of it. My goal with it is to convert it to be able to run on the non-oxygenated fuel, 91 octane modern fuel. Right now you have to add the lead, because it was designed to run on, I guess, leaded fuel. It's a 73. I guess they were still running leaded then. I actually didn't look into that 100% because the previous owner just handed me the pile of things that went with it, and one was some leaded additive. I'm not confident that he knew a lot about cars, but then that stuck in my head. I was like, oh, I guess it's still running on the old anyway. But we're going to make sure that it can run on modern fuel. So that'll be one upgrade, essentially, for it. Other than that, we're gonna just make sure everything is good. We'll replace the timing chain. If the pistons need to be replaced and the rings and the valve train, we're gonna do a proper rebuild on the engine so that when it goes back into the car, it's good for years and years and years of just good, trouble-free running. So, however, I know this episode was, named Ella, like it's all about Ella. Well, I didn't lie. It's not a lie. It's just some things that I can't control. So, let's walk over here. Okay. So, we're on the finish line with the Roadrunner. I don't hate the Roadrunner. I just know I have a lot of other things happening, and I would love for the owner to get this car and to be able to enjoy it and drive it. It needs to be test driven. It needs to, I installed front disc brakes, a power booster, vacuum booster with a new master cylinder, new rubber hoses, and then what else? Oh, clutch, obviously. I want to make sure that the feel on that is good, and he had an issue where the pedal wasn't coming up all the way, sorry, you know, it would release all the way, but then the pedal, you could pick it up with your foot just a little bit more. It's still doing it, but I can adjust that out of it because I have a different kind of clutch spring system set up in this. And anyway, I'm gonna be adjusting on that too, and see how things go. So I have to do that first, and then kind of adjust on that, or at least get to the point where I know what I need to do. Then I can yank that engine, bring it to the guy, and then come back to do this. I also still need to finish cutting off, trimming a little bit on Mr. E there for the headers, which aren't going to fit, but we're still working on that solution. I did suggest shorty headers. I'm just not sure. There's also a look that you're going for. So are you going to have them built so you can have these beautiful flowing headers, or do you just, the shorty ones aren't quite as beautiful, but they will work? Anyway, that's for another time. I mean, I'm going to be working on that this week as well. Anyway, yeah, this we'll get to Ella, but I just got to knock this out so that at least I can give the customer an idea of how much longer I might have the car, so he can enjoy it himself. So anyway, that's all the news. You know, it was a great vacation. It was a vacation. It was a family reunion vacation thing in California. And the only thing I brought back with me from the trip was a sunburn. Yeah, so don't take your shirt off if you never take your shirt off, because even if it's cloudy in California, in 10 minutes you'll be sunburned. I'm 51 years old. I should know this. But you know, there was some, you know, well, you know, I was having a lot of fun. Maybe I wasn't thinking, you know, for a moment of time, but still had a good time. Super excited to be back in the shop. So glad that you're here with me, and let's see what kind of trouble we can get into and what kind of problems we can solve, because that's really kind of what this is all about, right? Besides the creative process of, you know, building and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, well, I'm gonna need a fourth cup of coffee. I'll just tell you that right now. All right, well, I think overall pretty good. I'm gonna go through the brakes again. The clutch feels really good. It feels a lot lighter than the other one, but I need to adjust it just a little bit. But overall pretty happy with it. It drives really well. So, yeah, I don't know. Probably looking for something definitive from me, but you know, you're when you do so much to a vehicle, you're trying to like pay attention to everything that you've done and how it's going. And then of course your brain goes, well, was it doing that before? I don't remember. Yeah, if you've had a project car or a classic car, it's normal. It's normal. But overall, wonderful drive. Wonderful drive. Very happy. Nothing fell off, you know, nothing made any weird clunking noises, or, you know, everything seemed to be doing the things. It's just new parts doing new things. So it will have maybe a different feel or a different sound once these parts get bedded in and happy with their home. Right now, it won't quite be comfortable just because everything's trying to find its home. So overall, very pleased, very pleased. Glad you could ride along with me for a short time there. Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of piddle around with a couple things and may take it out one more time. Well, I will after I do that, just to see how it feels and all of that, but pretty great, pretty great. It's been a privilege to have this car in the shop. You know, the Roadrunner, it's an iconic name, it's an iconic classic car, and I don't know, there's something magical about 1969. I don't know what it was, but there are some great cars by some great manufacturers in that year, you know, and surrounding years, but 69 just seems to be a magical year for all manufacturers. So anyway, yeah, I'll get to it, and I'm still I'm still trying to figure out where I am today, because I just got back from you know, my trip, like I said, and family reunion sort of thing, and you know how those can go. Good, but you're tired at the end of it. So, well, let's do some more things with other things. All right. Hey, I'm glad you're along with me. Funny story. I'm pretty sure I ran out of gas. So I definitely know where empty is on the gauge, which is slightly above empty. So I was just taking a quick test drive to, you know, I'd adjusted the clutch some more to how I like it, and the brakes, well, I made it a few miles and it started to die. So thankfully, this gentleman's gate was open at his winery or vineyard, whatever this is, and hopefully he's not needing to get in because I'm blocking his gate. Anyway, I called my wonderful wife, who's always there to help me, except when she's not available. Today she's available, so she's bringing me a couple of 5-gallon gas cans from the house, have the correct fuel in them, good to go, and we're gonna put gas in the car. Okay, so we're on the side of the road again, and I opened the hood and noticed that I have got, I don't know if you can see, I've got plenty of fuel in this filter here. But in this filter over here, I've got no fuel. That tells me, I guess my first suspicion would be the fuel pump all of a sudden took a dive on me. because there's absolutely nothing in there. And then this one down here looks like it's got plenty. So, yeah, it's an adventure, always. So I'm gonna try to get this back home. Might be able to fill up the bowl in the carburetor to get it to run enough to get it turned around. I made it like 2 more miles, so maybe it just worked for a little bit and then didn't. We'll give it a try and see what happens. No, I was wrong. Now that the car is started, you can see that it's very full. And the one down here is, it's sucking fuel through it. Not very much though. That's odd, okay. Interesting. Let me turn the car off and see what changes. Okay. So what we have well, that's interesting. Now that bottom bowl is dry. And top bowl is about half full. It's very interesting. But also that bottom one appears to be filling up. If I sit here and watch it, I'm pretty sure that bottom one is filling up. Okay. Well, we'll let that fill up and then I'll get it started. Maybe I'm filling the bowl again and I can get the car turned around and headed back to the house. All right, I limped it back here, obviously, because I'm here. Well, that is, I didn't have to go get the trailer and tow it back. So when I left, oh, it's just a very large fly. Okay. Yeah, so when I left the second stop, I had just let the filter fill itself up, the lower one, and then it seemed to draw that amount up. I made it a couple miles, had to pull over, wait for it to fill itself up again, and then I just made it back. Thankfully, there's a downhill into the shop. The door was open. I could just coast it in and turn it off. So every time I let it sit and let the bowl fill up, it would just crank right back up again. No problems. So I don't know if that one is gravity filling, possibly. Or like right now it's full, but when I pulled in here it was empty. This top one here is empty now, but I bet if I start the car, it will fill up and this one will empty. So I've got to do a little figuring. Is it the pump? Maybe. I've never run into this before. Thankfully, the customer was running 2 clear filters, the good ones. So I can see fuel in the line before. You know, you'd never know what was happening otherwise. But in this case, I have 2 sight glasses, one before and one after the pump. So that helps me kind of sort things out in my head. So this wasn't on the list. In fact, I erased the list. There is no list. But also, I still don't like the way the brakes are acting. So I'm going to look into that. I've got plenty of vacuum going to the booster. I've got like, I don't know, 20, over 18 anyway. It should run fine, anything over 12. Got plenty of fluid. I don't have any leaks. It feels good. Like when you're initially slowing the car down, it will, well, it feels like power brakes. Like you're not really giving it very much pressure, but you're getting some good slowdowns. But then when you reach the bottom of the pedal, like when you're really trying to stop, it's like you're pressing on a brick and there's no more linear. There's no more harder you press, more you stop. It's just I'm pressing as hard as I can and it's stopping what it's stopping. So I don't really like that feel. So we're gonna kind of monkey around with that a little bit, see what we can come up with. And then this new thing that is an issue. So anyway, we'll just keep working. I will let you know what happens. I'm sweating a little bit now. You know, working in the shop is not as hot as working out in the sun. So at least we made it back. All right. Oh, what am I looking for? I need some water. Well, it's not water, but it's also not the same day, and it's pouring rain out. So I'm going to take a pause on the Roadrunner to yank this engine out because I got to get it over to the guy to do the rebuilding thing. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about removing an engine. It is what it is. My goal here is to, if possible, leave all of the AC stuff intact, just kind of pull it out of the way. Then, yeah, I'll have to yank the radiator and drain all the fluids and all, you know the drill. I'm sure you've seen an engine pulled before, but I'm gonna work on that this morning. So it's got this like weird cruise control box thing. It's so interesting. Yeah, I almost forgot I did brakes on this. I was just looking at the new master cylinder and realized, yeah, I did brakes on this car. I think it stops, which is good because it didn't before. So, and hopefully I can do this without taking the hood off. I don't know. I always try to do things taking the fewest things apart as possible, and then I get in there and I realize, well, I should have just done it because I would have saved myself a lot of time. We'll see. Okay, I'm just putting it off. Let's get busy. Let me go set this coffee down somewhere and then I'll start. If you were taking a nap during the time lapse and just woke up, well, what you missed was this. This is all you missed. So, yeah, since the engine's out, just come over here. We'll just kind of take a little round of it, look in the empty engine bay, see what it looks like. It's always interesting. And I've got to run this, I think I'm going to put this on, I've got a stand over there. I think I'm going to put this on that. Sorry, sound guy. Apologize, I'm fiddling. Okay, I think I'm going to put it on that, and then, yeah, I've got to run it up to the engine guy, and then we'll probably get back to Mr. Roadrunner over there trying to figure out what kind of fuel issues and brake issues that I've got to make better. So, yeah, just come over here, look real quick. All right, so not much to see, the typical oil on things, whatnot. I was able to take it out and only break one. Yeah, I only broke one manifold bolt, so that's a win. You can see it's a little gunky. It's a little gunky in there, so I've got the radiator against the wall over there. I might flush it out really good. The engine's gonna obviously be cleaned out and flushed with a new water pump, new timing chain, all of that. So, yeah, it should be good to go. It shouldn't run hot. It should be fine. So, I've got the power steering kind of tied off to this side. And as I was tying it off, the low pressure line just snapped right off. So, good thing I did this, because it probably was leaking. I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff down here, but it was about to start leaking. And then the air conditioning over here, I don't even know if it works, but we're putting everything back original, all of the vacuum hoses and emissions nonsense, it's all going back on the car because I want originality. If the next owner wants to rip it all off, well, that is his choice. Yeah, so frame looks good. We've just got regular kind of oil, old car oil and dirt on it, but no corrosion, no nonsense. Transmission is supposed to have worked, so I'm just leaving it in place because, we're not going to do more than we need to get this car running and driving. You could be tempted, well, the engine's out, let's do this and that or whatever. But if it's working, let's just not, okay? It's more money, it's more time, and it's less enjoyment. Because if we put the new engine back in, everything's working properly, enjoyment is happening. That's what matters here on this project. So I will kind of scan the engine bay. I'm sure I'll be replacing some vacuum lines and whatnot, but I'll clean up some of the grease and oil before I put the new engine in, since we've got it out. But other than that, I'm not going to do a whole lot. So, all right, I got to get this engine undressed, and so I can get it down the road. Yeah, okay. Since you're no help, go stand over there, and then I'll let you know when I'm done. Well, hello there. I should be looking at this, not that. But you know, the longing is strong. The longing is strong. That I just got word that the body should be painted within the next week. I was told this weekend. I like to temper my expectations, so within the next week it should be painted. So excited about it. Also, as you can see, I brought the engine to the engine guy. Had an interesting conversation with him. He's still able to get parts. He had to check, but he's still able to get parts for that engine, the Buick 455. It's getting harder. He said a lot of manufacturers. You'll have to excuse my geek out on this. It's interesting to me because it affects my business and what I can get and what I can't get. But his experience recently is that a lot of companies, through the whole COVID thing and whatever, have been reevaluating the things they make. For instance, if a company makes a rebuild kit for the Buick 455, they may look at their past 12 or 24 months of sales and realize, hey, we've only sold 110 of those. It's not like it's costing us more to make than we're making on it. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. So they stop. And then other entrepreneurial types read the tea leaves and buy up all of their stock that they have, and then now or in the future are selling, for instance, a rebuild kit for very much more than you used to be able to get them before because they're only limited quantities and they know it. Unfortunately, engines like that, that there's not a huge demand for, there weren't a ton made, they're kind of aging out. And it's sad. It is. So when you have a car like Ella there who is so original, you kind of want to buy the parts that now that you still can buy them and keep her original, because at some point in her life an owner is going to say, yeah, it's not worth it. I'll put in a modern engine, or the originality is going to be gone at some point, and now we're at the edge. We're at the edge on that. So, time's changing. The future of these cars, they're always going to be around, but getting parts for them is going to be harder and harder, and you're going to kind of be forced either to just not drive it or modernize it. You can always modernize these cars with upgraded drivetrain and brake components and you can do it and then still drive them, and that's wonderful. It's the 69 Chevelle here is an example of, hey, we want this beautiful body, these classic lines, but we want to put it on the ground. We want to be able to start it with a turn of a key, drive it anywhere. It handles and stops just like my, modern, whatever you want to call it. And there's a market for that too. But these cars, you don't just want to see them in museums. You want to see them out on the road. And if they're in original condition, it's just, there's something charming and special about that. So anyway, geek out over for now. It's never over. Who am I kidding? It's never over. So we're moving on to Mr. Roadrunner again. Two things, real quick. real quick. The brakes do not have that linear feel that you want, where the harder you press down on the pedal, the more stopping is happening. Right now, you get the boosters working. You get the feel on the top part of the travel that, yep, the car is starting to slow with very minimal effort. And then at some point in the pedal travel, you hit a brick. And whatever level of stopping that was happening, that's all you have. And it will stop, but it's going to stop at that whatever level that is. It doesn't matter if you press the pedal harder, that brick is there and nothing's happening. So, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to call my beautiful assistant, who I am also married to, and I'm going to have her help me bleed the brakes. I can do it by myself, but having her at the pedal there will allow me to be at each corner visually inspecting what's coming out, and it will, 1A, go faster, 2B, it will give me a better read about what's happening. So make sure that I get them bled all the way, and then adjust the rear brakes, make sure they're not like at their full grab and the front brakes aren't there yet. So there's a sometimes what can happen is on some of these systems, you have to back off the adjustment on the rear brakes to give the front brakes a chance to do their grabbing first and then bring the rear brakes in. That's really what you want. There's a distribution block, but there's no proportioning valve in this system. So the distribution block essentially is just there to, send out the lines wherever they go. The pressure's equal, and you just want to make sure that the fronts are able to get their chance to work before the backs interrupt them. So anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. Whatever. I'm going to get this up in the air, take the wheels off, get ready for that while I wait for my beautiful assistant. I'm going to be diving into the fuel starvation problem. The owner informed me that it had the problem before, has a new fuel pump on it, and he added an auxiliary electric pump that's activated by a switch under the dash, kind of halfway between the tank and the engine, when he was having starvation problems thought maybe that was it. So the mechanical pump is new, and it seemed to fix it for a while, but it just did it for me again. So I'm going to just check for obstructions, kinks in lines. I might blow through, make sure we're good. It's very possible that the electric pump, if it's not running, is causing a restriction for the mechanical pump to draw. So I can bypass that and see if maybe that's the problem. But I'll let you know. You just grab yourself a cup of coffee. This is, what is this coffee? I can't read it from here. Hang on a second. Oh yeah. Yeah, so this is Black Rifle coffee. I've never had it before. I've wanted to try it. I just never had it. And so I was in the store the other day. They had the K-Cups for my machine. I was like, oh, I should grab that. So this one is Black Rifle coffee, just black. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's good coffee. It's not weird. It's good black coffee. So anyway, there you go. That's what I'm drinking and why, because it was interesting to me. So I like coffee. It's great. All right, so grab yourself some Black Rifle. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just trying them. So you go grab yourself a cup, sit down. I'm gonna try to figure out what's happening with this car so we can get it back on the road and to its owner. So, all right, that's all I got. All right, let's go. Here we go. I'm going. Just wanted to show you what I believe I discovered here in the fuel system. If you look up in here, well, maybe it's a better view here. You can see right here how the hose takes a sharp turn. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but I can feel it with my finger. This hose is kinked pretty severely. So there very well may be a restriction. What might be happening is the engine is sucking it out of here up to there until it runs out, and this is not feeding it fast enough into this filter. So I'm going to take this hose off, put a longer one in with a bigger loop so that it will not kink, and I don't know, it may have solved our problem. We will see. One thing at a time. So that's the only thing that I'm going to do with the fuel system at this time. We'll just try to adjust the brakes and then take the car out again. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Actually, it's supposed to rain all next week, but hopefully I can find a window of time to get it out on the road again. Well, maybe even before the end of the day here if I can get these brakes finished up. I'm just, as you know, waiting on my lovely assistant who I am also married to. So, yeah, let me handle this and then we'll do the brakes just as soon as we can do the brakes. I'll probably adjust on the back ones while I'm waiting, and then when she gets here we'll do the thing. No, not that thing. The brakes. You're getting way too comfortable around here. That's all I'm saying. We'll just leave it at that. All right, let's see. If we're sucking fuel. I don't see too much. Turn that electric pump on. Now it's filling up. That one's full. That one's about half full. All right, I am going to just give it a test drive to test the brakes, and we'll see what kind of fuel trouble I have, or if I have any. Okay, well, the brakes are amazing. It was just a matter, I think, of bleeding them. I did back off the back brakes a little bit, but I mean, it stops really nice, really nice. So, however, I'm here at the end of my driveway because still having fuel problems. So, we don't have any. Yeah, okay, so that one's full now. Or no, it's not. No, there's nothing in that one either. Okie dokie. So, as soon as it reprimes itself, if it's going to, I will drive it up to the shop and yeah, we'll have to look at it, see what's happening. I might have to pull the sender out of the tank again, or at least disconnect it, see if I've got like good flow through it, like blow some air through it and see, because that kink that I thought was restricting flow, it doesn't seem to have helped at all. I can't imagine that it hurt that I got that out of there, but it didn't solve the problem. So, but I'm gonna take my wins where I can. The brake booster, the new brakes, the front disc brakes are really good. So, night and day from the drums and manual brakes that I had before. So that's a relief. We'll take the wins and then we'll try to track this fuel thing down. I'm just going to, yeah, just sit here for a minute, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you in a minute. Oh, I forgot I have coffee that's been sitting here for 20 minutes after I made it because I wanted it really, really bad. Good thing about these Ember mugs, well, they keep it hot. It's a good commercial. When you forget about your coffee, get an Ember mug because it will keep it warm for you until the battery runs out. So if you remember, before the battery runs out, you're good. Otherwise, even an Ember won't help you. This was a present from my wife after she got herself one, and then I borrowed it maybe one too many times, you know. I'm not saying it's a tactic, but you know, I guess I could have gone out and bought one myself. It was just easier to borrow hers than go online and try to find. Anyway, she's the techie one, not me. Okay, well, I'm sitting here awkwardly trying to remember what I did. So I took the fuel lines, the sections of fuel line apart on the car, blew compressed air through all of them, took the sender out of the tank, and also made sure that it was clear. The tank has no, particles in it. The tank's clean. I also noticed that the sock on the, I call it a sock. It's a filter. It's not really, it's not very sock-like. It basically is a filter cylinder that slides on the end of the tube that goes into the tank. And if you bottom out that sock, it will have a hard time sucking fuel. So I just made sure we had enough distance on the sock. With all of that done, since I did it all at the same time, I'm not sure what actually fixed it, but I'm guessing it was that sock. Just kind of working its way up. Anyway, it's working. I drove it 10 miles and no problems. I love the way the clutch feels. The brakes are amazing. The handling's really good with the new shocks and the new sway bars. It's a great car. So I'm excited. I think the owner might be coming to pick it up today. And yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a really good week. I don't really have much of a exciting way to close this week out with you, But it's not really a big deal because, you can always come back. I will be here working. If you want to hang out, the shop's open. So sometimes you just have to leave without saying goodbye because, we'll be back. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, again, a pleasure to have you here in the shop with me. And I am kind of excited in these next coming weeks because I should be theoretically getting the body for Mr. F back from paint, and it will be all hands on deck. All hands, both hands on deck to get that car finished. So everything else will take a back seat until that car's done. Mr. E has taken a back seat for a couple weeks here, unfortunately, except for the working on the headers, which I still don't have a solution for yet. We'll get there. Just have to, the owner's been out of town and we'll get together. We'll figure it out. But I've got some wiring harness to run in the car, and it's just a lot. I have a lot of things. I have a lot of things to do on it. So there's no shortage. So while I'm waiting for the body on that, while I'm waiting for Ella's engine to come back from the engine shop, it's all hands on deck, both hands on deck for that car. So expect to see more of Mr. E until the exciting day comes when the body shows up. So I had a moment when I had to bring my paint sample, I think it was last week, up to the shop for Mr. F. I had a moment of, am I sure I want to paint it this color? It happens to all of us. At different points in our builds, we're like, this is the decision. I just have to trust my instincts on this. When I had a plan to build the car, I had a color palette and a material palette in mind, and I need to stick with it. I think it's the right choice for this car. Maybe down the road, we'll build more traditional, but there's a bunch of traditional Cobras out there, And I don't believe you should stand out just for the sake of standing out. But if you have a creative moment follow through on it. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, I guess I've seen some of the worst that can happen. Kind of what were they thinking moments. But you know what? The risk, it's worth it. I went to the Peterson Museum in California when I was out of town, and some of the custom vehicles, you look at some of them and think to yourself, wow, what were they thinking? But on the other hand, you also thought, wow, way to think outside the box, way to take a risk, a styling risk, a color risk. You know, I love it. I love all of it. So make it yours. That's the main thing. And classic is always in style, but sometimes it's okay to push the envelope. And so that's what I felt like I was doing on Mr. F. We'll see. I think it's going to be great. It's already great. So, all right. See you next week, hopefully. If not, I hope you're busy doing something that you enjoy. So that's what I have. I'm going to drink this still warm coffee and then figure out what else I'm doing today. See you next week.